Let's go over some advanced useful tips and tricks in Schedule 1. My first tip is going to be how to move the vendors from the warehouse to wherever you want, so that way you can purchase from them at any time of the day. So right now it's only 8:44, but I can access Oscar's inventory and Stan and also Manny, and I put them right outside of my warehouse so they're easily accessible. And this is not using console commands or cheats. In order to get Oscar, you can point a gun at him and aim it, and he'll run away. And if you knock out Oscar, then you can either pick him up and move him to where you want him. Keep in mind this is really buggy when you pick him up and move him like this, and after you move a certain amount, they're going to start to disappear. Or you can just wait until he de-aggroes, and as long as he's outside, then he'll just stay wherever he stopped or you knocked him out. Then if you go to sleep, then you can go back to wherever you left him, and you can talk to him and buy stuff from him at any time of the day, instead of having to wait until the warehouse is open. For Oscar, it's even easier because if you point a gun at him, then he just aggroes. So then all you need to do is run to wherever you want him. I'm going to take him to the warehouse. And if I knock Oscar out in front of the warehouse, when I go to sleep, he'll be back where I left him. I would recommend only taking him to the sidewalk, because if you take him inside, he's not technically supposed to be there, so it will warp him back outside, and that could potentially cause problems. Try not to knock anyone into the water while you're doing this, because if you knock them into the water, then they'll be stuck wherever you put them, and you're not going to be able to access them if they're in the water. If this happens, then you can quit out, and quitting out and then continuing your save is going to put them back in their default positions. Since quitting out puts them back in their default positions, they will be reset from wherever you put them whenever you quit the game, but you can save and rest as much as you want and they won't move. If you play really short sessions, I would say it's at least worth pointing a gun at Oscar and scaring him out of the warehouse, because that only takes a few seconds, and then at least you'll be able to access his inventory at any time of the day. After you complete a deal with a customer, you can crouch down behind them with Control and press E to pickpocket. And if you fail the pickpocket attempt, just run far enough away from them and they'll de-aggro. So right there, they de-aggroed. And then after a certain amount of time, you will be able to pickpocket them again. And have another attempt at getting your product back. And to do the pickpocket minigame, you just need to press space, and then press space again in the green bar of whatever you want to steal. If you succeed, you'll be able to try again if you want. You can also wait for this to bounce back and forth, and try to time your pickpockets. An extremely useful tip for optimizing space is that you can assign beds to a worker that aren't even at the location they're working at. So I'm going to assign both of my botanists beds that are at the motel, even though they're working at the bungalow. And now both of their assigned beds are at the motel, but they're still working at the bungalow, even though there are no beds in here that they're assigned to. You can get to know which customers are loaded by offering them a really expensive product, and then adjusting the price until you see it go to 0%. So I can tell Jesse Waters has exactly $1,575 because as soon as I go $1 over, it goes from 72% to 0% chance of success, even if I add more product. This price is going to change if you have a product that's not worth as much. So if that's the case, just drop in a huge stack of the product that's not worth as much, and you should come out with the same result. And I'll show you an example of a customer that has way less money. So let's talk to Doris Lubin. And when I offer her something, the maximum amount she's going to be able to offer for it is $656. So she only has $656 because as soon as I go to $657, it goes to 0% chance of success. What we can take from this is she's going to generally have less money than Jesse Waters, and if you have a huge supply, she is a low value customer. So in general, you'll be getting requests for lower amounts of product from these customers with less money, and going much above the amount that you figured out they had is going to have really little to no chance at success, even if you put the offer way in their favor. Let's test this out on Jesse Waters. We're going to do a counter offer, and we're going to kind of rip them off, but we're going to do 1,500 because we know they have around 1,500. And that succeeded. Knowing this information is crucial for understanding how big of deals you will be able to push customers for with counter offers, and also understanding which customers you should be seeking out for deals at their homes or on the street. My final tips have to do with more complex automation setups. If you're running a complicated mixing process like an 8-step mix, make sure that you are alternating who is working on which machine in the sequence. Because if you have the same person mixing at machines in sequence, then say they're busy mixing on this machine, they won't be able to start this next machine while they're mixing that. And it gets even worse if you have 3 assigned that are right next to each other. So alternating who's working on the machines in the sequence will increase your production. And finally, if you have a setup where you need to do a ton of supply runs, get the Viper vehicle. You can get this from Highland Auto for 9,000, and you can run this to the gas station and fill it up with up to 16 stacks of product. So between the Viper's trunk space and your own personal inventory space, you'll be able to take up to 24 stacks at once per run, and you can just park it near your setup and open it up, start restocking. You can also buy more than one of these Vipers if you want to use them for the extra storage space at a spot like the bungalow or the Chinese restaurant, since they're basically mobile storage racks. That's all the tips I have for you today. I've been testing things all day trying to learn new stuff, and that's how I learned the warehouse trick, and also that you can figure out exactly how much money customers have with the success rate trick. So hopefully you guys enjoyed all of that and learned something new so that effort doesn't go to waste. And that's it.